hello to everybody who's out there watching today and anyone who'll be watching in the future weeks and months to come. So as Alan said, I'm Sarah Pritchard and I've been working as an acupuncturist and tween practitioner for 25 years now. Coming into the dotage really of the profession. And I was very pleased to be able to speak a little bit today about this series of work that you've been putting on in regard to the treatment of anxiety, and to be able to just bring in some of my ideas and ways that we might consider integrating tweener with acupuncture in your already existing practices. Now, I'm aware that some of you watching will already have quite a bit of experience in regard to tweener, and others probably have very little or maybe none at all. So I'll do my best to address things to all of that level really a little bit. So I will use terms that sometimes that some of you will be more familiar with, and then explain those to those who are new to tweener. So the first thing really to say for those who haven't done much tweener before is that tweener didn't take its name tweener till the Ming Dynasty. Before that it was An Mo, An Mo being named after two of the basic techniques or fundamental techniques, An being pressure and Mo being circular rubbing. And one thing that's I think useful for all acupuncturists that aren't aware to remember is that all of our needling techniques come from hand manipulations. So, for example, the twirling technique of the needle that we'll all be familiar with, the back and forth twirling, comes from a technique called Rofa, which is kneading, circular kneading of a point. A technique like lifting and thrusting with a needle comes from Nafa, which is grasping. And there's something to say, for me, my opinion is that it would be better to learn to do everything with our hands first, to stimulate points and channels with our hands first, and then to extend those hand manipulations into the needle. So the needle doesn't become such a foreign object. It just literally becomes another way into stimulating the points and the channels with our hands. Then we have a full range of ways into stimulating those points and channels rather than just feeling completely reliant on the needle. So nice to remember that's actually where all the acupuncture techniques and needling techniques come from, and to be able to have a good understanding of how to apply simple hand manipulations to points will give you more flexibility in your practice. There are always occasions, as we know, where there's a point nobody wants to be needled. Pericardium 6 is a good one. A lot of people just don't like the sensation of the traveling chi down into the hand. And so you want to open the nature of that point. You want to engage and connect with that point. And that's where simple techniques like Anfa, pressure, and there are many ways of doing pressure. And those of you who are familiar with working with me know I spend a lot of time engaging students into how to apply Anfa in a very simple, connected and present way, so that there's no strain involved. We're not feeling we've got to be using lots of pressure, physical body weight or anything like this, but that it's more an act of presence and simple connection. And I'll use analogies like become like water, drop into the point, become like a drop of rain, drop into the point with a hand. And being able to apply a very simple Anfa technique to a point like pericardium 6, when you feel the needle is inappropriate or that the hand is more appropriate, I think that's very, very useful for all of us to be able to do. So And what I'd like to do today, I mean, I'm very practical. The way I work with students is very practical. And if we were together in a space today and we had several treatment couches out, then I would have you working in pairs, and with me in real time, we would work through simple techniques and routines for the treatment of anxiety, or for integrating tuina and acupuncture into the treatment of anxiety. And this idea of anchoring the spirit by using touch, presence, and connection. So as we can't be together in the same room and work like that today, what I thought we would do is, as I continue on, we'll move into a period of time where instead I will talk you through applying some of the techniques to yourself. We'll go into a simple qigong and then into some self-tuina, so that you learn how to apply this to yourself and learn how the points can feel when you apply simple techniques. The key thing for me is to return to a place of feeling and to be aware of the sensations that can arise from very simple techniques. So that's how we'll do it. I thought that might be useful as well, given the times that we're in still at the moment, and given that we may be in a situation where it will be useful for us to have other tools going forward. I thought it would be useful to have that ability to teach our patients how to do some of this for themselves. So our ability to inspire in those who come to us a state of relaxation, a state where they're able to be more in control of their own healing and well-being. I was talking to Todd Howard at Pacific Rim College in Canada. We did a little podcast last week, and one of the things that comes up for me at the moment that I feel is very important has to do with what I call the role of the healer archetype, and a sense of equality for us as the giver, the practitioner, and the receiver, the patient. I've become unfond of the word patient as time's gone on, because of this, what can become a lack of equality between receiver and giver, let's say. And for me, we've entered into a time of empowerment for each one of us to remember that the healing comes from within us. So whoever we're working on, there's so many layers to this for us as practitioners, and over years of working, we discover these things within ourselves and the mirrors that our patients will provide for us as practitioners, as healer archetypes. So being able to do anything that allows for empowerment of those who come to us is very significant for me, and providing simple self-massage work and engaging that person to be able to, for example, open a point from within, to use their breath, their mental intention and focus, and to be able to open that point from within and to put the power back into their hands, so that we become the guide, the channel, the conduit, but they're not relying on us as well. There's something in that for me that feels significant in these times. So we're in a time where there's huge fear around everyone, as we know. There's great anxiety for the future. And I was thinking about this, what is anxiety? and the effects on all of the elements. And of course, it's a lack of trust. Anxiety is a forward projection into the future that we're not safe, that the Tao does not have our best interests at heart, that we're not in control of the world. And the simplest and perhaps the most powerful thing we can do is to enable whoever comes to us to enter a state of grounded, centered, now moment. If we take the notion that there is only one now moment and that the rest is projection into the future or the past being drawn into that present. So anxiety is this future, constant future projection of unsafety. And I think there's also a tendency to addiction with anxiety because of all the tech as well, and the chi becoming more and more scattered by all the data that we're taking in. So the earth element is already oversaturated from digesting too much information, too much data, too much electromagnetic frequency. So all this is coming to us all the time. And the earth element is constantly then generating this continual thought forms of future anxiety. So the earth element is important for me in terms of how we remain stable, our connection to Gaia, to the earth, our connection to our own earth element. It's interesting, the earth element was related to the planet Saturn, and Saturn is having a huge effect on this year. If we look at astrology, we've got Saturn-Pluto conjunction, which is very important, and we could think of that as the earth element and the water element. So we have also this, the constant fear, and fear creates cold, and cold will eventually start to attack the heart. And then the fire element gets very disturbed. Some of you will have heard me giving a little talk about the lack of fire in the year, the metal being overly containing to fire, and water also from fear putting that out. So fire's had a bit of a rough ride this year, you know, no fun, no theatre, no gigs, no social interaction, no connection for people. Yeah. And when it comes to, for example, areas of the body that we might want to focus on, there are key places that enable us to anchor people and to look at things like fear and so on. And I'll bring you in a moment, we'll go into a place where we'll do it together in real time. And this is something that you could then perhaps consider doing with those that come to you for help. But the key areas of the body that I would want to be working on with someone, the sacrum, the pelvic area, so important. You know, fear descends and it drops into the lower abdomen and the sacrum. And so having a look at the sacrum, even if we're simply doing really gentle holding work in the sacrum, simple anfar in the sacrum, checking to see, does it feel cold to the touch? If it does, then we know we need to warm it with our hands, with moxa, etc. So the sacrum is important. The whole of the bladder channel, because of that water involvement. And again, working very steadily through the bladder meridian with techniques like Tui Fa is a pushing technique. For those of you unfamiliar with the language of Tuina, it's straightforward pushing along a channel using the palm of a hand, usually with the Lao Gung as our guide. So I regard the Lao Gung as like a laser of light, and we're working along a channel with that laser and guiding the chi. And most Tuina treatments will begin with a technique like Tui Fa to begin to guide the qi along, and other simple techniques like Mo Fa, very instinctive, round rubbing, circular rubbing techniques. And all of these will guide the qi. They'll enable us, if done with mindfulness, to settle and soothe the qi, because people are in a state of the qi is too uprisen, it's scattered everywhere, there's not enough earthing, there's not enough grounding, and the alignment is out. So we could say people are beside themselves. And if we're beside ourselves, we're not in a great place to be able to live our lives joyfully and creatively, and we'll be in a state of fear. And so bringing people back into alignment is going to be key for what we might do with this. So I think at this point, what I'd like to do, if that's okay and everyone's willing, is we'll just come into a place of alignment ourselves, and I'll talk you through this, and then we'll move into some working on some tween art on ourselves. So hopefully everybody's comfortable and you're sitting in a place where you can have both feet on the ground and the spine can be comfortable and straight. And just close your eyes. And bring some attention, first of all, into your abdomen. Imagining a little pearl in the center of your abdomen, round about Ren 6 or Ren 4. And breathe in and out of the pearl. And now bring your attention to kidney 1. And bring a little attention also to Ren 1, the perineum. And I'd like you to drop 3 roots down from these points and down through the floor. Drop the roots down through the floor and down through the foundations of the building that you're in. And let these roots move down through the foundations and into the earth. Extend the roots deep into the earth, deep into the belly of Gaia. 3 stabilizing, grounding roots. Breathe in from the center of Gaia through the roots into the pearl in your abdomen. Sharing breath with the earth. And just continue this practice. And as you breathe in, say to yourself, I am. And as you breathe out, say to yourself, safe and grounded. I am safe and grounded. Be aware of any sensations of magnetism towards the earth, of feelings of security and stability. Now bring your attention into your chest, to Ren 17, pericardium collecting point. Imagine the point opening from inside. Breathe it open. Breathing in and out of your heart through Ren 17. Then bringing your attention up to Bahway at the crown of your head. And imagine the point opening like a little portal or doorway. Send your breath into the point and your consciousness up through the ceiling, up all the way to the top of your house, up through the roof and into the sky, through the sky and into the realm of the stars. See the pole star shining brightly above your head. Breathe in from the pole star all the way through Bahway into your heart and back up from your heart all the way up to the pole star. Now be aware of the connection between the three places. The great Tao, the pole star above, our connection to the Tao, our own hearts, humanity, and to Gaia, the Great Mother, through the roots in your feet and perineum. Heaven, humanity, earth. Ask them to come into alignment. And come back to the pearl in your dantian, in your abdomen. And breathe in and out of the pearl. Now bring your attention to your jaw. This is a place where all of us hold huge amounts of tension. If we're in a state of anxiety and stress, the jaw and the muscles of the jaw will be rigid, the teeth locked, grinding the teeth at night. And this causes more potential problems with headaches, neck pain, hip pain, and many other problems from there. So being able to relax the jaw and drop your tongue down to the bottom of your mouth, away from the roof of your mouth. Send your breath into stomach 7, small intestine 18. These points where the channel sinews rise and terminate. Imagine those points opening from within. Send your breath there. Imagine the whole jaw releasing and relaxing. Bring your attention to gallbladder 20 and gallbladder 12 around the mastoid process. Breathe into the points from inside. Open the points from inside like little doorways. Breathe them open. Bring your attention to bladder 1 and 2 and yin tang. Open those points from within. Breathe them open. And drop your attention into your chest, to the spirit points, kidney 27, 26, 25, 24, and those upper kidney points. Breathe them open. Let your attention move through from your chest, down through your inner arms, through the yin channels, and let it settle at pericardium 6. Open the inner gate, leg 1. Breathe into the point. Lao Gung. Breathe into Lao Gung. Open it from within. Now bring your attention into your belly to Ren 12. Imagine a big sun in the center of your belly. Breathe in and out through Ren 12. Breathing in and out the golden light of the sun, the golden color of the earth element. Bring your right palm on top of Ren 12. Align your Lao Gung to Ren 12. Let the other hand join so the two Lao Gung are on top of one another, the palms on the belly. Gently press the palm into the point. Breathing in and out. Imagine your hands melting into your belly. And very slightly cup the hand that's touching your abdomen, very subtly, not a big movement, just a subtle suction by cupping the hand that's in contact with you. And we apply this suction or this drawing in almost like a little cup. It allows the chi to collect and gather in the area of our focus. And from here, I just want you to begin very small, slow, steady circles, polishing Ren 12. This is Mofa, round rubbing. Keep your attention within. Keep the hands very soft. Very slow, steady, clockwise circles. The breath and the attention within. As if you're polishing a golden cream into something very precious. Stay with this practice. It's an act of self-care and nourishment, of mindfulness and gentleness to ourselves. It's something we can teach anyone very easily how to apply. And be aware of any sensations of warming, locally, yes, and also internally. What we're looking for is for this sense of warmth to gather deeply inside. And classically, this very simple Mofa round rubbing technique on Ren 12 and on the upper abdomen would have been practiced for 20 minutes or more in courses of treatment. Courses of treatment over 7 days, 10 days. And after applying it for several days, for a long period of time, the effects on the spleen chi will be profound. And slowly come back to stillness. Lao Gong over Ren 12, pressing in. Breathing in and out of the point. And then drop your palms down to your belly over Ren 6 or Ren 4, whichever feels more comfortable, more appropriate. Breathe in and out of the point. Collecting the chi there by slightly raising the Lao Gong or cupping the Lao Gong to allow chi to collect and gather there. And now just bring the palms together and rub them till they're nice and hot. And bring hot palms over closed eyes. Open your eyes gently behind your palms, taking in that warm chi. And then gently just stroke the hands over the head, down the body as if washing with that chi. Good. So thank you for engaging with that. For me, this state and having this state within us as the practitioner is the key to the work, irrespective as to whether we're using the needle or our hand, and particularly in the now times and the times going forward. If we can enter that state of grounding, centering, aligning to our heart and to the Tao, and can remain aligned and can remain present, then that, through resonance, will have an effect on whoever is with us in the space. So somebody in a highly anxious state is going to be more challenging for us to stay in that space. And so if we know we have several people coming and they're all likely to be in a state of high anxiety, for example, then really key to give ourselves that time before we start to enter this space, to give ourselves that space between each person that we're seeing to just center, clean the energy field. You know, right now everybody's obsessed with cleaning the environment, cleaning the hands in a very physical way, but the energetic cleaning for me is absolutely paramount. Giving ourselves the time to just neutralize energetically and flush the body through with blue light. Just breathe the blue light in and breathe it out through the body and back down to the earth, or another simple practice that you already have, and coming back to that Gaia, heart, the Tao, and remembering that we can of our own selves do nothing, that we're skilled people in that we have heads full of knowledge, hands full of skills, but the work of healing is coming from the Tao and the person in front of us. This brings equality, and this brings us into a place where, through simplicity of whether it be 2, 3 needles inserted into points, and then very simple work, just like that, like we've done on ourselves, simple mofa on the abdomen. Keep it slow, keep it steady. This kind of work will have a profound effect. Those of you who've worked with me before and have done Tuina before know that once you've started working, because you have felt it, it's so important for us as practitioners to feel the effect of the work that we do, rather than just being doing machines that I'm treating you, I'm doing this to you, I'm doing this to you. No. How does it feel? And what I have found in all the groups that I've taught over the years, And many acupuncturists who are interested in really learning how to do more with their hands, what I found is that they already have extremely good intuition and instincts, but they're fearful. Can I do that? Something inside me is saying, I instinctively want to put my hands here or hold these points here and do that. It's all innate within us. And when they work with me, it's like, oh, I've kind of been doing that anyway, is often what people say. Or I wanted to do that, but I wasn't sure if I should. You know, it's almost like coming out of the closet, yeah, between our closets. So part of my work really is to provide, I guess, a sense of confidence and inspiration for all of us. Because look, we've entered this work because we wanted to help people. So there will be an innate ability within ourselves and in our hands. We've come partly to work this role of the healer archetype. If we take the notion that we've lived many lives, if we take this Taoist concept that we're here to fulfill a curriculum, and that at some point, maybe we'll have the opportunity in one life to complete it. This role is very significant for us, all of us that are working with others in a healing capacity. And so I want to encourage people to, I guess, be a little bit more creative. That's what I'm about. Be a bit more creative. This is a science and an art. And to bring the feeling and intuitive element back into the work, which can sometimes get a bit heady and a bit overly intellectual for me. And we can lose what we're doing with the person. And we can lack the confidence in our own feeling state. And I think that's very significant. It's very significant for the world. It's very significant for women, because, and for men in bringing back that, we might call it the divine feminine, the yin within. This is very important. And that is about intuition, about feeling, and being able to follow that. And when you work with the hands and the needles in a more integrated way, that becomes quite natural. So you'll find those of you who work with a retained needling style, TCM style perhaps, maybe you've needled something like the 4 gates, just to give a simple example. And those needles are going to remain in now throughout a 20-minute period or something like this. And you think, great, I've got 4 anchor points in here. That's nice. And that's going to spread the chi very nicely. And I've got my hands, yeah? And I want to anchor further. And a very simple thing would be to bring one hand over Ren 4, to let the chi collect at Lao Gong. And to bring the other hand, just to hold simply, using I usually use the thumb and the middle finger, and hold 2 points in the chest, 2 spirit points in the chest, like kidney 26 or 25, and drop into those points. And my way of explaining that to people would be, relax, get that place of center to drop in like water. Imagine from the middle finger, from the thumb, the points are opening, and like a drop of rain, the chi drops through the point. There's no force. You have the natural weight of your own arm and hands, and then, so you completely relax. And that connected relaxation is often enough without using additional body weight and certainly no force. There are times when we want to use body weight for other things, but for this kind of work, for anchoring, we just need good, relaxed upper limbs onto the body, and then this ability to connect into the points, and these ideas of dropping like water. Use your breath. And another thing that I would say, breathe in what you need from the Tao, through Bahui, down into your belly, through the heart, back up, out through your arms and into your hands and palms, so that you're not using your chi per se. This is something you're drawing in. Sometimes you might want to draw it up from the earth and out. And again, it's instinct, it's intuition. That will help you. Use your breath as the vehicle. And sometimes use the patient's breath. There are times when, again, to engage somebody, for example, with breath, if there's anxiety, the breath will not be working well. So what can we do? We want to encourage the breath. If we put too much emphasis on the breath, what I found is the breath becomes even worse. So that doesn't help always. But a gentle touch, for example, either side of the rib cage. Just hold either side of the rib cage, folks. Focus your breath. Bring your breath into your side ribs, first of all. And then, can you feel me just holding you in the ribs? Yes, okay. Can you imagine gently breathing into my hands? And that approach can work for some people, and so, because often this area of the rib cage totally locked, no breath. In anxiety, the diaphragm's locked up, the chest is locked up. Yeah, so that will help. Or abdomen. Yeah, just come down to the abdomen. If in doubt, come down to the abdomen. So lots of things that we can do, but these are very simple things. So points that you may think, I'm not going to needle those. I'm going to, because they're going to be more jumpy and nervous if I do that. They're fine with these. I'm going to do those. And the rest I'm going to do with my hands. I'm just going to come in and hold the points. The same would apply to, let's say, Neiguan. I mean, if you're willing, try it with me. If you've got somewhere like a surface at the table, maybe in front of you or something like this, somewhere where your lower arm can feel quite comfortable, and then just use your middle finger, because we've got the exit point, pericardium 9 here. And I just want you to bring, so I'm going to raise up here just to show you. I just want you to drop your middle finger into the point. So just literally come to touch that point. Nice and perpendicular. Let the weight of your arm relax. Let your shoulder relax of that working arm. Let the elbow relax. Give space under the armpit. Let your wrist drop. And let all the way to that upper limb naturally drop in through the middle finger and into the point. So you're holding no tension in that arm, that working arm. Now use your breath. Begin to breathe in from the Tao. Take that breath down through your belly and then bring it up to your heart and out through your arm and out through that point. And just imagine it like water. Dropping in like water, melting into the point, softening in. Breathing what you need in from the Tao, into your belly, up to your heart, out and down through your arm and through the finger, through pericardium 9, into Neiguan. And then, so this is a very simple way of doing Anfar, and you can't use a lot of force when you're using the middle finger. You can't add a lot of pressure like one would be tempted to with the thumb. You can't. And now, to come out, what's very important is the going in, as we've described, but even more importantly is the coming out. And here, I would like you to imagine something like drawing a sword from a stone. So you're pulling out very, very gradually, because in the coming away, what happens is we create space, and that space allows the chi to flush through and infuse that point and area. Draw it up slowly, slowly to a place I call the sticky place, where there's very light contact between the tip of the middle finger and the point. Very, very light, just like a little bit of sticky tape there. Hold it there for a moment or two and then float into the energy field and come away. And that is the technique that I would use on points. If you're connecting points, so for example, you might be connecting something in a channel, lung 1 to lung 9, or lung 11 to lung 1, or Ren 4 to kidney 4. Fear, kidney 4, we might think of that, okay? And we hold the abdomen. For the non-retained acupuncturists, so maybe the 5-element acupuncturists, you've got the choice here of maybe stimulating the points first with needles, the needles you've chosen, the points you've chosen, then working with your hands, or the other way around, work with tuina first and then needle the points, which I think is quite a nice way of working. And for those of us who are working in a bit of a combined way, then there'll be times when I would start with my hands. I often start with my hands. Then I may needle a couple of points, maybe non-retained. And then there may be time when I want just a couple of real flag anchor points in with needles, and I'll go back and do the rest with my hands. So there's lots of flexibility and flow with this work. And each one of us, of course, will develop our own style according to our natures and what we're exploring and what feels natural and what we resonate with. All of these methods work. It's what we resonate with that really matters. So for those of you as well who've done a little bit more tuina, I just wanted to talk through some things that you may have gone, yes, got that already, or I've forgotten that. So I've said this to people before. I have spent treatments with people who are in a state of anxiety, simply with them lying on their tummy, so in prone position. And I've spent an hour or 45 minutes doing tuifa pushing technique, straightforward pushing technique, along the bladder channel, particularly down the back, down the legs. So for fear, we want to get into the area of the legs for grounding. And as soon as you start to really work there, get the chi to move downwards, away from the head. This anxiety will have the chi doing this, up and out and scattering all over the place. Yeah, the fire element is now out of control. And we just want to give it grounding, a little bit of containing, a little bit of descending and soothing. So spend a long time doing tuifa and particularly focus on the legs, and slowly. We want to slow the chi down a bit. With anxiety, it's too fast. Yeah, so slow it down, nice, slow, and use your breath. And this is where applying the technique with that presence, that grounding, that centering, drawing in from the Tao, using your breath, working along the channel, use color. You can use blue for the water element, breathe it in. Anything that helps to engage your imaginative, creative self will help. I've spent treatments doing that, followed by Mofar, the simple round rubbing, drawing little colored spirals in my mind through those channels, focusing perhaps on very specific points as I get there. So spending more time perhaps on bladder 23, because the kidneys really need anchoring. And then working through the sacrum for a long time and down the legs. And you could literally spend the whole treatment doing that. And that will induce a sense of deep relaxation. What we're attempting to do is to create an altered state of consciousness where the opportunity for triggering that healing or sparking that Shen, as I would say, within that person can occur more easily. So inducing that state. And for those of you who've not done much tuina or any tuina, just 10 minutes of that, 5 minutes, tui far down the back, mo far down the back and the legs. And then I'm going to ask my receiver to turn over so that I can do some needles. By then, they will be in a relaxed state and therefore more accepting and relaxed to receive the needles and what can be achieved by stimulating those points. So I think that's very much worth bearing in mind. We want our point choices and the needle techniques that we're using and the effects of that to have the best possible effect, and for that person to feel they're most comfortable to receive it. So just doing 10 minutes of very simple tuina will allow that state of consciousness to change. So I think that's important. For those of you who've done tuina before, right now I would say that area of the kidneys into the sacrum, gunfa. Gunfa is a rolling technique. It's a very strange looking, just for those who've not seen it before. It's not the most instinctive of tuina techniques, the rolling back and forth of the hand over the body, but it has an affinity to the nervous system. And being able to apply good gunfa, good rolling technique along the bladder channel into the kidney area till it's really warm, into the sacrum, down the legs, slowly, steadily, but for a long period of time, it'll settle the nervous system. The rocking motion that gunfa has, this rolling technique has, will drop someone into that state. So it's from a famous tuina school, the gunfa school, which has a particular affinity to the nervous system. So for those of you who are familiar with gunfa, then treating patients with anxiety on the back of the body, spend a good time after tui fa and mo fa, those adaptive techniques, go into plenty of gunfa. If you have good steady gunfa, it'll be well received at this time. And the sacrum, we've talked about the sacrum. Work the sacrum after the adaptive work. Some of you will be familiar with this technique, which is the nafa technique around the sacrum, where you're using the heels of the palms around the sacrum, so you get a good connection to the sacrum. You interlace your fingers, and then we use kneading and grasping around the sacrum to release the sacral binding, because it'll be like this. The pelvis goes all jarred up when we get into a state of fear. And then come into nafa around the sacral borders to give space. Use warming techniques like forearm rofa. So moving the muscle, spend a long time there. And for those of you who've not done much, then simple anfa over the sacrum. And anfa around the hips, so around about gallbladder 29 or right over the trochanter, either side, just coming in either side and holding there. That will bring somebody back into presence. So that's one that's worth remembering. So it's a very simple things you can do as well. Legs, I've said legs, legs, feet, simple anfa with the thumb in the feet, on kidney 1, in the way that I described before, but softening in, taking your time to move into the point, and then slowly, like the sword from the stone, coming out, taking hold of the ankles, the heels at the end, and just dropping your bottom down into Ba Shenfa. That will enable the chi to come into the feet, away from the head, away from the state of anxiety, into a more settled place. So that's a very nice thing to do. The hold, some of you will be familiar with the holds that we've done before when we've just come into simple holds around bladder 1, 2, yin tang, and do 24. So we're holding the points from above. That, when you've got needles retained, it just completely sends somebody into a different state altogether. So we're holding collectively bladder 1, bladder 2, yin tang, and do 24, standing above the head of the patient and placing the fingers on those points. That'd be the thumb would be on do 24. We'd have the index finger on yin tang, and then we'd have the middle and ring fingers on bladder 1, 2. So you just have to wiggle your way around that, but that's a very nice hold, which will have an effect on the pituitary gland as well, and through those points, bladder 1, 2, yin tang, do 24. So that's very nice. The other area, key area, I was mentioning it during the meditation, the jaw. This is absolutely rigid, yeah, now in most, well, it has been for years, and now it won't be any better probably. So being able to release the jaw, again, if you've got needles retained elsewhere in the body, it means you can start to work into this area, and you can teach your patient how to apply simple work into the jaw, and for how to find those tender points around small intestine 18, stomach 7. And again, you can work very, very simply, asking them to just use the middle finger, press into the point, soften into the point, drop the jaw, and they'll feel that masseter muscle. And then you can get them to work a little bit with the thenar muscle into the whole of that jaw area, yeah? So this is every day, these people, most people really now, need to be working into the whole of the masseter muscle underneath, with Rofar kneading technique, underneath cheekbone, down, yeah, and even Nafar, where you're lifting the flesh between the pad of the thumbs and the pads of the fingers, just lifting the flesh away and working into that area. So working in the jaw and getting the jaw to release is going to be very important. Those of you a bit more experienced, don't forget the blood mansion work that I would have done with you, where we're working all those key points in the chest, work through the chest to open. So lung 1, the kidney spirit points, Ren 17, heart 1, spleen 21, liver 14. So that key blood mansion area that opens up the whole chest, allowing the breath to move more easily and allowing the emotion to clear if it needs to. So if tears need to come, then they can be released and the body can be cleansed through those tears. So blood mansion work for those who've worked with me before. Abdomen work, the 3 keys: Mofar, polishing the golden egg, holding the point with both hands like a limpet, sticking onto the point, Rofar, move the muscle, and Genfar, which is vibration. So those 3 different techniques are called the 3 keys, moving between Mofar, round rubbing, Rofar, kneading, and up and down, subtle vibration. Those 3 in the abdomen will be very important as well. Now I'm just checking the time because I might have gone on and on here with a long period of time. What is the time now? I've got 5 minutes, 15 minutes, is that right?
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
So I've got no idea, I could be here all day. You'd be waving at me going, stop.
I'm happy to wait around for like forever and stuff, you know. I mean, it's a big ask to make you just sort of like condense Tweena into an hour. I mean, that's a huge ask.
It's trying to give people something that they can start with that's simple enough that they can go away and go, okay. So I could find it easy enough. All of us can push with the palm from the center of the chest across to the shoulder. And then when that feels warm, we can extend that down the yin channel of the arm. This is guiding the chi. So all Tweena routines will begin with Tweefar because it has that ability to guide the chi in the direction that we want it to go. It's literally doing it. It's very practical, yeah? It's literally doing that for us. And it may be that, let's say, for example, you've decided you want to needle lung 9, but you want to do something for the whole channel beforehand, and you want to relax the person. You've done something on the back first, it's simple to, then you're opening up the channel like this. And then you might say, well, okay, I'm going to just open the channel a little bit further. And then we'd use a technique like Nafar. So I'll stand myself up a bit like this. So between the belly of the thumb and the bellies of the fingers, you lift the channel. So lift the flesh. Obviously it's bigger than the channel. Think of it perhaps more like the sinew. So you're lifting it, hold it, wait, and then release. And then work down. And this is a very interesting thing to explore. So you move down, you lift, you're giving space. So Nafar is the space giver, I call it. Provide space. Lift away, release. Move down, lift away. Let the chi move into it, release it. Lift away, release it, and just keep working down the channel. Lift away, release it, lift away, release it, lift away, and move all the way down to lung 9. And even that, we've only done one round, but if you've done that with some stimulation, you'll feel the warmth and the activity through the channel. And that's just from one round, if you like. So for anxiety, Nafar along the pericardium meridian. So that same technique, yeah, one that people often forget. We mention it throughout training sometimes. This, Nafar on the pericardium meridian helps to relax the mind and calm the Shen. So remember that one, lift and grasp. Do it softly. So it's soft but stimulated. So it's the refinement with Tuinar is getting to that point where there's good connection and you feel like, yes, there are things going on here. It's well connected, it's rooted, it's grounded, but it's not harsh and hard, yeah? Sometimes I think people have been put off learning Tuinar because they've seen it as a very, very yang and very forceful style, or the more forceful end of it. And I think that can be quite off-putting for a lot, particularly for a lot of women, actually. I think, oh God, especially women my age now, just think, oh, I can't be doing all that. It's too, it's too much. And it's going, this is, yes, there are many things you can do. It's a very wide-ranging subject. It's a body work and it's an energy medicine. It's both. So it's a Qigong. It has all of this to it, but some of the styles have become rather harsh, and it's not well received, and it's not pleasant to do either. So being able to do all the techniques, the full range of techniques with connection and softness, that for me is the key thing, and can be taught to anyone who's interested very easily, actually. So what else did I want to mention? We've talked about the chest, we've talked about the jaw, the holds, the belly, the legs, the feet. These are the key areas. And I would say, for those of you who've not done anything before, work with Tuifar, work with pushing, work with route, circular rubbing, and work with holding the point. So what you may do is just go, well, okay, next week in practice, rather than needling all the points in my prescription, I'm going to leave a couple out and I'm going to stimulate them with my hands. Yeah, I'm just going to drop in to those points. Oh yeah, what did Sarah say? Okay, so, oh, actually, yeah, I want to do liver 3. So I'm going to drop in here with my middle finger. Remember, you can do the same with the thumb. Yeah, so if you think, oh God, it's really awkward with the middle finger in this particular point, or perhaps you're working down the back shoe points. So steady and far down the back shoe points, or on let's say bladder 15, bladder 23, whichever points feel the most significant, or just generally touching in on all of those back shu points with the thumbs in that way, slow and steady with the breath. By the time you've got to the sacrum, they will be in a different state of consciousness. And far, it's very grounding. The other thing as well is to use the palm. So just coming into the sacrum area, as I said, these holds, use the palm. You can stimulate the point with the palm. It doesn't have to be a finger or a thumb. You know, let's say you've got joint problems in your own thumb or something like this. Doesn't matter. Come and use your Lao Gung and put that over pericardium 6. And let the breath, let your connection and the breath open the Lao Gung from within, and play with that idea of slightly cupping the palm. And this is an exaggeration, you know, it's nothing as dramatic as this, yeah? But it's subtle. So if I exaggerate, there's a pushing and a pulling, a pushing and a pulling. You're directing the flow, you're collecting it, push it away, direct it. Again, very logical. It's very, you know, it's simple to grasp in a way. And these motions can become very, very subtle. And these motions, remember, extend to the needle. It's the same thing. So good anfa leads to good connection with the needle. So I just would like to encourage you really to just use your intuition, use your instinct. Don't be frightened, yeah, to try a little bit of simple work. Very powerful to connect points on the back after you've done Tui Fa and Mo Fa. Come into bladder 23, bladder 15, connect fire and water and just stabilize that relationship. Very, very powerful work, very beautiful work. So I think in terms of the key points that I wanted to give you, that is probably everything for now. There's going to be a lot more to come. I think there's a lot more exciting, but well, there's one other thing. And that is, if you can, this is work that I've started to work with my groups that I've been working with for a while, is using your voice, or teach your patient to use their voice. Teach your patient to use their own gong, which is right here. And if you're singing, or if you're using your voice to chant, then you're breathing well. You're breathing deeply, and you cannot sustain a state of anxiety. So the grounding and centering work that we did before, roots, earth, heart, up to the Tao, finding our own center. And then if you can teach people that and teach them to come back to their heart and simply vocalize an ah, or get them to go from a hum into an ah. And if they can do that for 10 minutes, so they're just going, they're also relaxing the jaw. That is one of the 6 sounds that's used for the heart. The other is k, k. Some people prefer that. But ah has a very easy resonance, and you can ask your patient, your receiver, to send that sound to anywhere that they're healing. So, I mean, for example, this is slightly off anxiety, but it's the same idea. It just depends where you want to send it. I sprained my ankle rather badly 2 weeks ago, and I think I probably fractured something. And what did I do? So we did bleeding of the points. We did lots and lots of compresses. In fact, I didn't have any Chinese herbal stuff with me, so I used cabbage compress, which is fantastic for bringing out inflammation. It stinks, but it's fantastic. And lots of subtle tuina and sound. And with the sound directed from both the practitioner and the receiver towards an area, so in my case, the bones and tendons of the ankles, the vibration alters, and what we're asking the body to do, or the chi to do, is come back to optimum vibration. Everything is vibration, all is chi in the end, right? And if you can teach your patient that, do a meditation with them on Zoom, talk them through ground, center, protect, use the my 5-element protection exercise. A lot of you know that already. Yeah, it's I think it's going back on for free. It's been free all this year during the crisis times, and I think it's going back on for free with Pacific Rim College Online. It's on my website, so you can get it there. But that you can teach people. It's a visualization. It's straightforward. Yeah, we can all do it, and I would encourage that. And then come into sound. Say to them, use your voice just on an R, and send that R to the liver, to the heart, to the shoulder, wherever it is, and do it for long enough. Build it up. That's a self-healing practice of great, profound ability. And I'm very interested in how to go forward with using hands and the voice. I've had several of my European students have asked me, would I do something that was about how to use tuina and the voice more? So I do want to do something, and will do, for people around sound and hands, and also the 6 sounds. We'll do something more specific, both for patients and for practitioners wanting to incorporate that, the 6 sounds Qigong, which is a very lovely method indeed. So lots of exciting things to come, hopefully. Now, perhaps from here, it will be a good time to see if there are any questions coming in, or this kind of thing, and we can talk a little bit from what other people are bringing up.
Grant, so we just have a couple of minutes left for those burning questions that people have. We've had one come through from Vina, who asks, as well as anxiety, given that COVID is also a respiratory issue, given the emotional aspects of the lung, grief, sadness, bereavement, loss, such as loss of trust, job, future security, how might you consider working on that lung channel?
Well, again, I would always start on the back. Okay, so irrespective of where we're going to focus, always start on the back first, on the most protective side. Do a little on the back. And I would want to be working again through the whole of the bladder channel of the back. Then I might want to come into some figure of 8 Tui Fa around the upper back, and I might join that with the lower hand round the kidney. So we get that relationship between metal and water, that nice relationship. I might spend some time there. Then I would want to do back shu point of the lung. Again, depending on their level of strength or not, would depend on how I might approach the point. So it may be that I go in and stimulate bladder 13 and bladder 23 with the thumb and middle finger. It may be I want a little bit more of a descending for the lungs, because maybe they're, they have a cough, or they're regularly coughing anyway. So I'd come and stand at the head and then use the thumbs into that point, into bladder 13, and just direct the chi in and down as if towards kidney 1. So in my mind, I would be thinking about extending my chi through the thumb and down to kidney 1. And because of the metal element, what's nice, as I said before, is working a little bit with color. So in this case, we might go, right, I'm going to draw in deliberately the color white from the Tao into my own lungs and belly, up and out, down through the thumbs and into their bladder 13, and watch it diffuse their lungs from the back. So that's a very nice way of working. The same would be true if you wanted to put Lao Gung over bladder 13 and work in there with that subtle work. Yeah, lots of choice, but I definitely want to do something in the back. That would be a key area for me. If they're weak, then I would be doing that every single time. And then we'll be turning over at some point, definitely wanting to work on the chest. So I mentioned before this idea of the blood mansion work. So, but the key points. I want to see what's happening between liver 14, the end, and lung 1, lung 2, the beginning. Are they breathing? We need to get their breathing as good as possible. So if they've got a bit of a history of asthma or just lots and lots of respiratory stuff, that's their weakness, yeah? Then we really need to empower their ability to breathe. So for them, the chanting, I'd say, is absolutely key. Working around the ribs. So I don't know if whoever asked the question's done any tweenar before. If they're familiar with that, then I would be looking at really opening up the side ribs with rofar, kneading. I would be using that work where you encourage them to push you away with the breath. So you deliberately asking them to push your hand away as they inhale, and as they exhale, you're helping to gain a full exhalation by just pressing in there. So all that kind of work would be very important. Lung 1, lung 2, whatever feels like the best anchor and the easiest way in. I'd be coming in with the thumb. So this point is very, very nicely stimulated by the thumb. And I would argue it's probably better stimulated with the thumb than the needle. So that I would want to do, working into the chest, all the chest. There's a very nice flowing foundation routine for the chest, which works through these soft techniques like Tui Fa and Mo Fa into point stimulation, into grasping, and then we begin to work down the inner arm through the lung meridian. And another thing that's very nice and that all of us can do, if you're wanting to, let's say you're going to need a lung 9, and you want to open the channel, you've done Tui Fa, but you want to open it a bit further, just come and hold the thumb in this case, hold the thumb, drop your bottom back to get a little bit of soft traction, yeah? Holding the thumb, supporting underneath the area around the elbow so that the arm isn't flopping everywhere, so good support. Drop back, get that little traction, not too strong, but just so that you feel, oh yeah, we've got the arm is nicely extended here and the channel is therefore open from a distal place. So you're kind of engaged with the Jingwell point. And then start to unwind it. So in other words, start to rotate the thumb from the thumb. You don't need to rotate the whole arm. You can just literally rotate from the thumb, but with the traction on. That will begin to have an unwinding effect. So you're opening the meridian, you're unwinding what may be bound, and giving space. That's a key thing, giving space to then allow a more specific area to be stimulated, for example, lung 9, which we may have chosen to needle. By then, you'll have better access into the point. Okay, so that would be something that I would be thinking about doing. The 6 sounds, give them the 6 sounds we'll come and do this, but give them the 6 sounds. Ask them to breathe in, gather up to the chest, to Ren 17. Coming to lung 1, pushing out, making the sound. It sounds like sea air, which is quite an easy one to remember, sea air. That's one of the ways of doing it, which would be very nice. So they're breathing in the white, they're using the sound, and really engaging their breath. That's going to be very important. And then routing that to the kidney. Yeah, lots of nice warming work around the kidney, down the legs, down to kidney 1, drawing down from the heels with a little traction so that the lung chi can descend more easily. So hopefully that's helped a little bit. And anyone who's got, if there are more questions like this, it's a bit more specific around cases and things, then please do feel free to get in touch with me. I have found that just of late, because I've got lots of students in Canada and Europe, people have been asking me if I would do tutorial with them based around, for example, a case that they're working with at the moment or something that we've worked on before. So I am doing those for people now. It's not something that I would have thought of doing before online, but as it's been requested from further afield, I am providing online tutorials where people can come and discuss all these things in more detail, one-to-one on Zoom. So do get in touch about that, or email me with any questions that you might have about Tweenar or integrating it and all of this kind of thing. Hopefully that helps. Was there anything else there, Alan, in terms of questions?
Well, when it comes to getting in touch with you, I've just popped your website into that chat box. Will all your contact details be available through there for people to be getting in touch with you with?
Yes, so if you get in touch with me, sarah@sparktheshen.com. So sparktheshen.com is the website. Get in touch with me via that. Email me, look at the website for anything that's coming up. I've got now an advanced Tweenar for acupuncturists program out there because there've been a lot of requests. Sarah, for God's sake, can you please put something down? Can you film something? So many times students have said, the area routines, we need to see them. Can you actually video them, please? And so I spent last year, and thankfully we did it last year in Canada, and I filmed my entire book and a lot more. So that's become the Advanced Tweenar for Acupuncturists program, which is has been filmed with Pacific Rim College online. So that's available now. And actually, gosh, I forget all these things. Gillian from Pacific Rim College, I asked her, I said, would it be possible for anyone who's interested, who's a member of the British Acupuncture Council, to have a discount on this course? And she has provided me with some discount codes for 20% off the course for the first 20 people. But you have to contact me to get the code. That's how it works, yes. Contact me, I give you the code, but there is a discount. So that might be of interest to some of you who are thinking about doing a little bit more with Tweenar. And that will form the foundation of a diploma course, which I will be beginning in autumn 2021. Not this year, next year, in 2021, we'll have a Tweenar diploma course, which will be for acupuncturists, and the online course will be the foundation, if you like, the moving, the walking, talking book that I will build it around. So if you're interested in that and interested in learning more Tweenar, then do get in touch with me about any of that as well.
Fabulous. Now we have come just over our 12 o'clock deadline, as it were.
Really?
But I wonder, I think it might be an idea for those who haven't done any Tweenar yet. What would you suggest to them? How does one get into Tweenar? Where do we go? I've also dropped your book into the chat box as well. Put your website in there. But what would you suggest to somebody who is
interested in learning? I think, well, there are lots of different choices. Obviously, most of the people here will be UK based, so they'll be looking to train in the UK. Get in touch with me if you're interested in coming onto my diploma course. There is a course that I believe has started now in Reading. Alex has started a course in Reading, and I think that's now running, or was running, up to speed. There has been the course at City College of acupuncture, and that's another one that people might like to look at. But yeah, get in touch with me if there's anything that I can suggest, and we can take that from there.
Fabulous. Well, thank you ever so much, not just for the time you've given us today, but also your impetus in preparing everything, the devotion you've given to put this together. It's been absolutely wonderful having you. We have also been joined by lots of members during your talk. So for those who just missed that little beginning, if you pop onto the BAXI website, then you'll be able to get the recording for this, for any of those bits that you missed. If you're a member of the Register for Chinese Herbal Medicine and you're joining, you can get in touch with the office. I think it might be Jennifer, do you know if it's going on the RTHM website or how the RTHM are getting hold of it? You're muted. I'm sure you're saying wonderful things.
I'm seeing lots of comments coming through here as well on the chat. That's very nice.
Yes, quite. Oh, we've got Naoko in there as well.
I know
Grand.
names that I recognise, names that I don't, but it's very nice to just know that people are out there and connecting in and just doing the work and getting back into their work in very challenging times. But this work that we do, everyone, is going to be so needed in the times to come. So needed. And, you know, I just want to encourage everyone to do the work that's in their heart, use your intuition, use your feelings, senses, and be all you can be in harmony with the Tao, and maybe all be well, peaceful and happy.
Grand, brilliant. I mean, lovely, brilliant words there. I have, unfortunately with Jennifer, it was me who had put her onto mute. I've managed to ungag Jennifer now.
So just thank you, Sarah, so much. I think that was interesting, and I know our members really enjoyed the session. Just to kind of let you know, we'll certainly make this recording available to RCHM, and if you want to get in contact with them, where you can find it from there. For us, we have a dedicated campaign page called Let's Talk About, and this month we're doing Let's Talk About Anxiety, where you can find this, some other resources, and also the previous webinars and slides if you want to use them. We also have another, lots more content on that, that web page, and you'll find that on the homepage of the membership website area. Okay, so thank you again so much.
It's a pleasure. Thank you for inviting me, and I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your Sunday.
Thank you, Sarah. Alan, do you want to close off?
Brilliant. Well, thank you everybody for attending this course. Thank you once again, Sarah, for all that you've given to us. You've had so many lovely compliments coming through that chat box. If you want to open that up, Sarah, you'll be able
to.
No,
I'm sort of seeing it, but it's hard for me to read it. Gosh, yes, look at all this coming through.
Brilliant.
Very nice.
Fabulous. Well, on behalf of BXE from RCHM as well, thank you ever so much for this talk that you've put on for us. And look forward to anything else that any other talks that you do with the BXE in future as well. Thank you.
Absolutely. Just let me know.
Brilliant. Okay, so everybody have a lovely what's left of your Sunday. And until next week, we'll be joined by Danny Blythe next week, who'll be going over nutrition, and Yang Shen. Grand. Okay. Ta-ra, everybody. Ta-ra. Thank you very much for attending.